We're live. What's going on, guys? My name is Nick Hellman from Learn Crypto. Obviously, we're on Josiah's channel, but I kind of got conned into doing a three-way here with Josiah. You guys know him, the DigiByte ambassador, and Canen from Vertcoin as well as here. We don't really know what we're going to be talking about. We've all been working all day, all already done other live shows as well. We wanted to get here to talk a little bit about DigiByte, I'm sure, Vertcoin, maybe 51% attacks, and really just the current crypto market as a whole. So I guess, Josiah, if you guys want to get started, get talking, and we'll kind of go from there, I guess.
Yeah, well, so I think what I should really do, first of all, before I do anything, is update it from the last live stream title, because that was, otherwise we're going to have people going, University of Washington, what?
Go ahead and tweet this out then, too.
Yeah.
I'll have a chat about crypto. Alright, here we go. Video URL. Can I put this actually in the chat here, maybe? It's gonna be live streaming the chat to everybody, so if you send me anything, like, don't send me any nudies, guys, because the group chat for Zoom is gonna be live streamed. Oh, dear.
Sounds good. I just sent the tweet out, so we're good.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Sounds good. What's the first order of business? What's the first topic? I think before we went live, Canen was kind of talking about the process of what Vertcoin's going through right now. You guys just did a Vertcoin talk about a 51% attack. I don't know if you want to go super deep in that, maybe touch base on that and kind of steer people to your channel if they want to hear a real deep dive on that. But also, you guys were talking about getting the Vertcoin Foundation together and what that process is.
Yeah, sure. So we just did a Vertcoin talk over on the Vertcoin YouTube page, which you guys can go find on. Just go to YouTube, search Vertcoin. We just did a talk with James Lovejoy and Gertjap, who they were up in Boston, and they both joined me on that show talking about really a technical deep dive into 51% attacks and double spins and kind of all of the aspects around that. Who is vulnerable, who is affected, who is not affected, how they're pulled off, how we're trying to mitigate them, how proof of work, how it's a genius. It's the genius around proof of work, but also it is a little bit of a fatal flaw for lower hash rate coins. And then we also released the block that we're going to be doing our Lara 2 Rev 3 fork. What block we're expecting to do that, which is going to be towards the end of January. Currently, we have a pull release up, so we're going to be doing some testing on that, making sure that we merge everything together correctly. Then we're going to do a beta test, and we're going to have everybody try and fork on the test net just to make sure everything is great, and then we're going to push out the final release. We're hoping to give exchanges and everybody, mining pools and such, about a month in order to upgrade so that everybody is on the same page when we go to fork over to Rev 3, which will completely eliminate the ASICs that are currently on our network. So we're putting in the work to make sure we stay true to ASIC resistance. Also, 2 Vertcoin talks ago, I had one of our other developers, Alex, who really he came up with the idea of how to stop the ASICs using this tweak to the algorithm, but also we're hoping that this will eliminate NiceHash from using the new algorithm for at least a month or 2, because of course they're going to do some updates and stuff of that nature. But we're hoping that this tweak will slow that down, because we're trying to avoid the rent attack from services like NiceHash. And then we're still going to be developing VertHash, which is still in the early R&D phase. But the goal with VertHash is to be ASIC resistant. So we're doing another fork away to a completely different type of algorithm. But then we're also going to be putting in parameters that we're hoping through our R&D process being able to mine or be used to mine and attack our algorithm. So, look out for our dev updates that come out on Medium, and check us out on Twitter, all of our social sites and stuff like that for any updates coming down here in the future.
So Vertcoin's trying to be ASIC resistance, but DigiByte, I know, does allow, I think, 2 algorithms with the ASICs. How does that compare, Josiah? What's your reasoning behind that, and how does that work out? I think I know your answer to it, but maybe so people can compare Vertcoin trying to maintain ASIC resistance and DigiByte kind of accepting it, how that works.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good one. Sorry, I was just really quickly sorting out the quality. I think we're sorted. Send me a message otherwise in the chat if you've still got problems with the quality there. Hopefully we're good now. Anyway, so actually, is that set to 1080p 60? Sorry, I was doing the recording previously and it was recording it at a much higher output. So I think we're good now. Enable advanced. There we go. Yeah. Have either of you, before I go any further, got that up, or I just wanted to make sure that we're cool?
Yeah, I got it up right now. The quality looks pretty good. You're pushing out at 720p, 60 frames a second. Or no, you're going 1440p, 60 frames a second.
Yep. Okay, just so long as it's not like jumpy and stuff, that's totally cool.
Yep.
Brilliant. Sing out if it is, but otherwise we should be cool. So, what was the question?
Accepting of ASICs and kind of embracing them a little bit with the multi-algorithm, as opposed to just sticking purely to ASIC resistance.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the Vertcoin perspective, I suppose, is probably what you might call a little bit more pure, really. So you are completely about the decentralization and everybody being able to mine on their own graphics card. Like you said previously, it was CPU bound, but there were issues. It's now GPU specifically, and you are forking to remove the ASICs and go back specifically to GPUs. DigiByte has the 5 mining algorithms, so specifically we've got the 5 different ones. Originally, it was to be 2 ASICs, 2 GPU, and the 5th one was going to be for CPU mining. But everyone knows that CPU mining is a bad idea. So
Because of botnets.
Exactly. Yeah. So we never actually had a problem with that with the algorithm that we had, the qubit algorithm. But it's a possibility, and so when you look at things like, I mean, you look at people and they talk about often, why don't you go back to using, say, cell phones, for example? Do you guys actually get asked that with Vertcoin? Why don't you mine on cell phones and things?
No, we've actually never gotten that. No, I mean we try and make it as staunch as possible that we're GPU only. I did want to let you know I am seeing some buffering on your stream, so I would reduce down the bit rate that you're pushing out, because it looks like your CPU may be getting maxed out a little bit.
CPU is sitting at 9%, so that's kind of where are those stats? Sorry, give me 1 second.
Good job, Josiah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, trust me, I do webcasting for a living, so I know full and well the ins and the troubles that come with broadcasting, just as Nick does on a day-to-day. It's not.
Let's bring this up real quick. CPU usage. Let's have a look here. What's churning through it? Nothing. Chrome's a little bit hungry. Chrome's memory hungry. You'll see that pop up there in a second on the stream too. CPU usage is sitting at 8% pretty solidly. Hard drive space, memory usage. Actually, I tell you what, I bet you, if we
in OBS, change your video output. Just set it to 720p. Don't do the 1440p, and do 30 frames a second instead of 60.
Yeah, give me 1 second. So what I'll do is we'll just quickly stop the stream. It'll restart. Stay on the page, and you should just notice it'll freeze for 1 second. All right, 1 moment. It's back up again. This is what happens after it's been a long week and it's right next to Christmas time and stuff. Let's hope that at this 1080p it's going to be a lot happier.
There we go.
So, yeah, so we get asked occasionally what happens like with your cell phones and stuff like that. Why can't you mine on a cell phone? The really simple answer is malware. It's super easy for somebody to do, well, and battery life. Let's be honest. No one wants to have their phone overheating and kill their battery. But
I wouldn't want an S7 Note issue where the battery explodes or something like that because of the heat. Yeah,
I mean that would kind of be glorious. Cryptocurrency exploded my phone, literally. Not like, you know how you get celebrities that are like, my phone is exploding with notifications. Yeah, our phones are just exploding because of cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
but I mean, so yeah, we've basically kind of semi-embraced the ASICs, specifically because the ASICs provide that level of, well, we're the dominant hash power. So James actually talked a little bit about that as well. So we are the dominant hash power in our algorithm. It's still profitable-ish to mine. It's relatively borderline, but there is no other coins that also mine on the Myriad Grostal, on the Skeen, or Qubit algorithm that are anywhere near close to what we are. So even though we're a minority in SHA-256 and ISCrypt, it's not too bad for us because we have the others kind of picking up the slack and keeping us safe and secure. So we are majority hash power on three algorithms. Right now they're all ASICs. We're going to be ditching Myriad Grostal probably at this time, but that's okay because the Myriad Grostal miners, if they are ASIC mining it with like the Baikal X10, they can just switch over and mine with Skeen, for example. But we're going to be bringing out Odacrypt, which is specifically for if PGA. And then we're going to also look at doing something similar, replacing one of the other ASIC algorithms and doing GPU again. Maybe even 2 algorithms. Potentially looking at staking down the line. I'm not such a fan of it myself because of potentially some of the implications, specifically in the US, around are you then being a security? And I think this is probably a really good segue into, you can tell us a little about what we've been doing with the foundation things.
The foundation, yeah. So, as you guys know, Vertcoin, we have been trying to get our foundation finalized with our lawyers now for about 6 months. We started the process. We are going to be a 501c3 foundation in the United States, which we will be only the second one of a cryptocurrency nature. And it's going to be tax exempt. So you're going to be able to donate to Vertcoin and actually write that off on your taxes, which is always a plus. You know, the less taxes you got to pay, the better. But you know, in that process, there's a lot of skepticism and questioning from a lawyer standpoint on whether or not if we're a security. And if you look at our last dev update, we actually released a non-security legal opinion letter from lawyers that we ended up, we spent a good chunk of money, which we disclose all of what we bring in from donations. You know, all of our funds are from donations, and we disclose what we spend it on. So we try to be as transparent about that as absolutely possible. We're pretty much, especially once you become a 501c3 foundation, your books are open to the public, whoever inquires about it here in the United States. So we had to go and make sure that from a legal standpoint, through the Howdy test, which is what the SEC uses in order to determine whether or not you're a security. The lawyers told us that we were the easiest, because they had done a few coins, because exchanges are starting to require this. They're starting to require this letter before they will start to list coins. So this is starting to become common in exchanges because they are gearing up for the SEC coming after coins and exchanges who are distributing that without a license to be a security exchange. So we were, what the lawyer said was the easiest security letter that they have ever written because of all of the tasks that we take in order to make sure we're not a security. But that's a huge thing here in the United States. If you're going to be a foundation, if you're going to have a cryptocurrency that is, you know, working very hard not to be a security, you know, it's hard from a legal standpoint, and it takes time, it takes money, it takes a lot of effort, but we're making headway on it, and we got the legal letter already, and the foundation we're hoping to have wrapped by the end of the year so that we can go into 2019 with that foundation. The downside to it yet, which you may not, I'm not sure how the DigiByte Foundation is set up, but we can't accept, right now we take small donations through Vertcoin. You can donate to us. When you become a 501c3, we can no longer do that. We have to track who our donors are, because if they write it off on their taxes, the IRS then has to verify that. So that is one of the downsides. We won't be able to accept anonymous small donations anymore. But we're hoping that we can offset that with larger donations from large people who are trying to defer their tax burden by being able to donate to a currency.
Also, I know you guys have been working on Vertbase. You know, kind of funny. I think you guys did that on purpose. You know, kind of taking a jab at Coinbase because they don't have Vertcoin on there, so you had Vertbase. Do you have a KYC on Vertbase? And if you do, then maybe there's kind of a regulatory loophole or a guidance to where then you could accept smaller BTC donations if it's done via Vertbase through a KYC customer.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can accept small donations, but we have to know who the person is. So KYC is definitely needed just from a IRS legal standpoint. And this is a lot of the stuff that people don't really know about whenever it comes to dealing with this. But yeah, Vertbase, and I always make sure to say this, Vertbase is not a Vertcoin core team project. It was started by a community member. His name is Justin. He's the CEO of Vertbase, heavily active with the developers. But you know, something cool that Josiah knows is we've now Vertbase has now added DigiByte. So DigiByte has a USD on ramp now here in the United States that you're able to buy DigiByte with US dollar. You don't have to go through Coinbase and then swap over and get, do all of that and lose in transaction fees and stuff of that nature. But yeah, we're trying to, Justin's trying to open that up to even more people because we don't want Coinbase to be a monopoly. Just the same, we don't want certain miners who have specialized equipment to have a monopoly on hash power. We want everybody to be able to get into the crypto space, and we are very focused on merchant adoption and being able to use Vertcoin as a currency. To do that, you got to be able to exchange from the currency to USD, because those merchants at the end of the day, they have to pay employees, they have to buy stock, they got to restock their shelves and stuff, and they can't do that in cryptocurrency if the people they're buying or the people that they've hired won't accept it. So that's part of the avenue that we're doing is you have to have that onboarding. And luckily we've got that nailed down, and we're hoping to expand that even more.
Yeah.
So it's just, have you got to use it yet?
No. So because I'm in New Zealand.
Oh
so.
Yeah, that's right. You're in New Zealand. Yeah.
But
now I know Australian dollar is something. We're waiting for a bank in Australia
really?
to be able. So we had, or Justin had one lined up in Australia.
Yeah.
To accept Australian dollar. Then he got pressured. That bank got pressured by the other banks there because Australia is, from a banking's perspective, they're not keen on crypto. Yep. So I think there is one, maybe two others that he is talking to right now, but that is in the works. We want to make sure to give a onboarding to Australia to the Australian dollar as well.
Yeah, nice. I've been talking with Stu and Justin a lot. They're really great guys, and we've had a really good kind of relationship, I suppose, both leading up to the launch, having the whole launch as well. I know the DigiByte community's gone absolutely wild for it, and we're looking at some other cool stuff we can do in the future with them too. So it's not the road doesn't kind of end there. Like a lot of people kind of think, cool, you're listed, fantastic. Now what? Well, there's actually some other stuff that we're still looking at doing with them, and we're still in daily talks with these guys, and they're a great team. So I think it's kudos as well to the, I suppose, community of Vertcoin that has grown this and look where it is today, and it's really cool. It really is what you guys have done with it. So
how did that little partnership occur? Because right now Vertbase only have Vertcoin and DigiByte, and that's it. What made it so that they're like, well, I think DigiByte's a suitable asset? Is it because DigiByte is not on Coinbase, and that goes back to the kind of that satire?
Sort of. They had Bitcoin on there, so there was Bitcoin, there was Litecoin, but I think, as far as I'm aware, I wasn't in the chat for the first couple of hours that they'd started up with a couple of us and things. But as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, Canen, they had Litecoin and Bitcoin that you could purchase?
It's on there to be purchased. You can't do it just yet, so it is there. It's ready to go, but I think they have a few other things that they're trying to work out before that can be available.
Yeah.
But I know DigiByte was really favored because of the decentralization aspect. I mean, in order to do, you got to think of the monetary red tape that you have to go through in order to have a USD onboarding inside of the United States. One of the things that made it pretty easy for Vertbase to do this was the fact that Vertcoin was decentralized, didn't, it valued transparency, it valued openness, everything was open source, and, DigiByte follows a lot of that as well. So it was a pretty easy ad from when I was talking to Justin. It was pretty easy to sell that to the banking regulators that are allowing that onboarding to take place through the money exchange.
Yeah, exactly. And so we were a similar sort of thing, basically the whole decentralized nature, and we were talking with them, and we were being real, and we're saying, hey, look, we know what it's like to be Vertcoin and to go to an exchange, and the exchange will say, right, that'll be $100,000, please, or $150,000, I think we were told, or Vertcoin were told for another exchange.
Cryptopia is $40,000 right now in the bear market.
Is it? Well, price has gone down. I guess. I wonder if they take those fees to in BTC.
Cryptopia does it with their own Dotcoin because they're trying to create a value prop. So it's 4.2 million Dotcoin, which I think was a little while ago was 7 Bitcoin. It's something like 40,000 US dollars or something like that.
Binance did the same thing.
I was gonna say that sounds like Binance.
To get on, you had to use BNB, and that's when you saw the price of BNB going up. A lot of that was coins trying to get listed. They had to buy the coin. The price of that goes up, and a lot of people don't know that about how the exchanges operate and now you see exchanges in this bull market or this this bear market, they're starting to list people for free because they just want the transaction funds in order to keep the coffers open.
So they've been clipping the ticket like left, right, and center, like freaking everywhere. They'll clip the ticket on the deposits. They'll clip the ticket on the listing fees. They'll clip the ticket on the transactions. They'll clip the ticket on the extraction as well. And it's like, okay, that's not double dipping. That's 4 different ways you guys are profiting right now. Like, I mean, sure, you gotta make a buck, but what the fuck, really?
Yeah. And so now you have the January 3rd thing that's coming out where you know it's your key. So I'm wondering how, I'd love to be a fly on the wall on how exchanges are feeling about that, because I know I've seen a few people talk about maybe they don't have all of the coins that they're selling people or that they're exchanging with people. And so then maybe say if somebody sells Coinbase a Bitcoin and then 2 people buy Bitcoin. Well, if the coin stays on Coinbase, you don't own it. You can never verify that you have the coin. You could have bought a coin that isn't necessarily in the possession of Coinbase. And I wonder if this January 3rd remove all of your tokens and coins off of the exchanges is really making some of these. You know, I feel like the huge exchanges, they're going to cover themselves, and that may be why we saw this spike in Bitcoin.
That's what I was here as of late. You might have been seeing some of this rally and the altcoins really outperforming because some of these exchanges are starting to make sure that they're not committing fractional reserve. And just by the chance that everybody pulls all the coins, they save face. Otherwise, they're going to go under. If we try to pull out 100 Bitcoin, they only got 50. Well, that exchange is going to get blacklisted forever. It's going to have issues on the short term. And it's probably not going to survive through the rest of this bear market moving into the next rally and missing out on really all of those fees moving forward.
Well, I know for a fact that there are several that are running on fractional reserve. I've called out 1 or 2 in the past myself on Twitter and basically gone, this is, like, the people from this exchange have told me we're running fractional reserve. You're not supposed to fucking do that.
Well, most people in the space, I mean, the average consumer in the space, they don't even understand the term, let alone the technical way that that's utilized in the back end. I know, we try to do our best to educate a lot, and I think the more that we educate, and this little movement that we have for January 3rd is a huge educational opportunity. And hopefully that it will teach people that, look, you don't own the currency unless you have the keys. And I think it's a very valid effort, and I applaud it 100%. I think you guys have embraced it completely, right?
Yeah, and I think also what catches a lot of people off guard, and really I think it's just because of the growth of the ecosystem, this kind of proof of keys thing, this is probably like the 5th year that it's actually happened. It just hasn't been as mainstream, but really every year the amount of extractions or user participants is increasing. Obviously, they're thinking this year could be the biggest year just by the sheer growth. You're in the bear market. So really the people who are still in the space right now are those who really understand the market and know how to have the private keys. So we'll see what happens. You know, like you said, this rally, Todd was saying this, my co-host on Learn Crypto was saying that he really thinks this rally might have been possibly because of the January 3rd. A lot of people were in fear of a sell-off. But really, he was saying that is kind of bullish because, like you said, exchanges might have to make up for it. Also, even if they're not the ones buying it up, if people are pulling all their cryptos off the exchange, now your liquidity pool on those exchanges drops up. So if people are wanting to buy, they're going to have to buy a lot higher, because if I go on with 10K and there's not any Vertcoin there to buy, I'm going to have to pay up in order to accumulate that coin, since you're not going to have that sell pressure because everybody has it on the desktop.
So January 3rd will be interesting to see, because there's not a time associated with it, right? So it's just the date.
I think they put on like UTC, but basically.
Okay. So it would be interesting to see the price volatility of all of these coins at that time, because your liquidity is going to go down drastically. So if somebody comes in there to buy, I need to buy this real quick and get it off, to join this, it's going to be really interesting to observe it. I myself, I've already got my coins are in my wallet. I don't keep them on exchanges. So I will gladly take my tea and watch from a distance and see how this operates out.
I haven't had any on an exchange since 2017 because I said this before in my last chat with Nick. I fucked up a trade really horribly, and I wiped like $2,000 off of my net worth at the time because I didn't listen to Nick and Todd and let that be a lesson to me. So ever since, they've basically all stayed in my wallet, and I'm just done some mining basically.
Yeah, but remember, this is for entertainment value. This is not trading advice. Nick, if you can run the disclaimer right now.
Yeah, I'm just
scroll along the bottom. We need that lower.
And you guys know that. You guys know that mine's gonna be a little different. Me and Todd are a little more active with our trading, but like I always say, I use the Ledger 9LS. Personally, there's plenty of desktop wallets. If you're going to download those, go to the main cryptocurrencies website to get the wallet. Make sure you're not getting anything malicious. And if you're not actively trading, store them there. Now, if you do trade here and there or you swing trade, I think Coinbase is very safe, and I think Binance is very safe. I think those are your top two options. You start to run an exchange risk with these smaller exchanges. Yes, we know you're trying to find the gems, the needles in the haystack, but a lot of them have their own desktop wallet. So if you're going to go on the smaller exchange to buy those, make the purchase, move it with your own private keys to be safe and secure, and hopefully eventually maybe they'll get on Binance or something, and then you can start more actively trading those smaller cryptocurrencies.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would highly say do the core wallets of these projects too, because at the end of the day, those are the wallets that the developers are keeping up to date. There's a lot of wallets. I forget the one that Exodus wallet was the first wallet that I used. A lot of people don't know that wallet uses. It's not like a core wallet where the keys and everything like that are inside of that wallet. It uses servers in order to validate those transactions. So it's not nearly as secure as a core wallet. So I always advocate, if you're using DigiByte, Vertcoin, Bitcoin, Litecoin, anything of that nature, make sure and download that core wallet from the developer's website, store them there. That way, you're 100% secure and there's no risk of any sort of issues.
Yeah, so I think in that respect with Exodus, because I actually ran the server for about a year now that they use for DigiByte. I started up a server specifically for them to use so that they could integrate with us and get us added. The keys, you still own the private keys. So, worst case scenario, if, let's say tomorrow, Exodus up and vaporizes across the planet somehow, I don't know how it would happen, but whatever. You've still got your private keys, and you're still in control. So they're not in any kind of a third-party custody there, and Exodus themselves can't go and run fractional reserve.
Correct.
They can't, but the way that it works is it contacts a third party, like an inside API server, similar to, I think it's blockchain.info or digiexplorer.info. Not digiexplorer.info though, because that one wasn't running the right version of the software, but anyway. So it contacts it and it basically checks for all the transactions and things like that, and that's how it also announces the transactions when you want to send them, is via that server. So it is better than having it on an exchange. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No doubt. Now, I was going to ask you, Josiah, you guys have a foundation. Where is that located? What's the roles? And I know you're an ambassador. So what does that mean as far as, your role day in and day out of the foundation? Or is there any advice that you could give the Vertcoin Foundation as we're building and starting up as far as how that stuff operates?
My advice would be don't give up on the iOS app. We submitted ours. Shit. So I think we'd submitted it somewhere in the vicinity of about 25 times, give or take, before it was actually accepted.
So what was some of the feedback? Not to cut you off and stop from the foundation, but so the iOS app is a interesting talk in and of itself. So we had to get an LLC here in the United States for that.
Yes.
We had to do. They came back. I think we went through about 9 or 10 back and forth with Apple.
Yes.
And every single time there was something different. There was something that needed to be changed. And eventually they told us that they just do not accept crypto wallet apps.
Yes.
We said, here's the list of them. And it just went silent.
Yep.
Nothing. And eventually we were just like, go ahead.
Yeah, you must be Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and like 3 others.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not one of them, tough shit. Like, see you later.
Yeah.
Even though prior to this we've made you go and jump through a whole lot of hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spend money, get an LLC, go through all of that process and everything, and then just every single time it was something new. So you said like what 24 times you submitted,
give or take,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason we gave up on it is because we're doing the Lit Lightning implementation, and so we have developed a wallet that's going to be on every single platform, but we just decided to hold off on submitting that one, the intermediate wallet that we were going to put out, and we're waiting for Lit to be finalized and active to the public before we put that wallet out.
I think yours was also based off Bread originally too.
Yes. Yeah, that was another complaint. It was like, well, there's already a duplicate here. It's like, well, you have another wallet on here that is not Bread. and it's using bread as the core code.
Ah, shit. And what was that one? That was there was another one. It's literally like a clone. It's
Is it Konami or I can't remember which one it was.
is
I
it
don't
like
wanna...
is it Skein Coin or was it Cubic Coin? It was one of those two or something.
I think it was Cubic.
And it is literally like a direct clone.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow they got listed on there. And we're like, I even went on their forums and signed up. And I'm like, hey guys, how the hell did you get through the Apple walled garden? And they're like, we don't know. We just did. Damn. Yeah. But anyway, so Apple changed their we'd gone through about 20-ish submissions, and then Apple went and changed their requirements back around about, I think it was like May this year. And so when they changed the requirements, again, this was literally like right as we'd had our last rejection. We're like, this is just like, we're at the end of our rope. We've tried everything. We're not sure what to do. They changed their requirements again, and they started accepting cryptocurrencies. So we're like, yes! And we started, again, the resubmission process, and half a dozen later, just under, they accepted us. The stupid thing is we've just submitted an update for it. Originally a couple weeks ago, they rejected it. We fixed it. They rejected it again because we asked people for feedback. And we said, would you like to leave feedback? And Apple now, after we've already been on there for 6 months and we've not touched this particular part of the code, they've come back and gone, nope, you're not allowed that. Nope, get rid of it. It's been in there the whole freaking time, guys. What the fuck?
Yeah. We experienced the exact same thing. But yeah, it's frustrating. So we held off until the lit wallet that we're developing gets finalized, and then we'll submit that, because that's not going to be based on bread or anything else like that. So we're holding, because with us having limited funds through donations and stuff, we try and spend our money as wisely as possible.
Yep.
So that's why we were just like, you know what, we're good. We'll hold off for right now.
I also remember when you guys weren't officially released on iOS yet with the DigiByte wallet. I had the beta version, and I actually did a video as part of the submission. In that video, I was like, well, this hopefully can get you guys approved. Let's see. And we did the demonstration with 2 phones and the fact it worked and this and that and this and that. And I guess eventually it did get pushed through. So
we got there in the end. We had to basically, so that was what I got Nick to, he sorted out, well, you had the 2 of them up there. We had to show them sending, I think, for proof for Apple. Actually, that reminds me. There was, I think the other words were like Monero and Bitcoin Cash. I don't know how they allowed Bitcoin Cash when it had only basically been around for like a couple months at the time. But was one of
Roger Ver has a lot of money.
Money.
Roger Ver has a lot of money. Let's be honest.
We need to get Roger Ver on like the Vertcoin DigiByte bandwagon. I think, because that dude's been around. Like, he got the name Bitcoin Jesus for a reason, but
that's not gonna happen.
We've got to change that.
The thing is, I tell people, look, I'm not a proponent of Bitcoin Cash. You might hate me or love me if you're watching, but I'm not a proponent. But I always say I usually try to have a 3 to 5% portfolio holding to sell Roger Ver pumps like the one that we've seen today, because that just starts to happen. Also, we saw with Bitcoin SV, I'm like, guys, the volume is tripling. This isn't organic. What that is Craig Wright dumping Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin SV, wash trading, manipulating the markets, and then pushing the price higher. What happens the next day? Crashes 30%. It's pretty obvious once you start to see this and you're looking at the charts. And I think that could be potentially what's going on with Roger Ver now. Because once they manipulate and create volume and price hike, then it triggers bots to start buying. Then you start seeing FOMO from retail investors trying to catch a nice 10% gain. And that's what you see. That's why it crashes so hard so fast. So
the reason why you don't want centralized mining, why you don't want a few people controlling the mining for a particular chain, because stuff like that happens. It's sad that it came to that. I'm glad that it happened, because it put a spotlight on it, because beforehand it was like, it'll never happen. And we were like, yeah, no, but it's a possibility. Well, but it'll never happen. And it's like, here you go. You got 2 billionaires in a pissing contest over who, has the most money and most hashing power. Yeah. And as a result, it destroyed so much market value across every aspect of cryptocurrency by 2 assholes having a pissing contest.
Yeah.
It's
Josiah and I kind of talked about that in our last Hangout session a few days ago. I screenshotted it. Craig Wright deleted it. He actually openly admitted that he was going to market sell Bitcoin to buy and pay for more mining hash power for Bitcoin SV, and market buy Bitcoin SV to hopefully win the BCH chain. Obviously, that didn't happen or didn't help. But really, I think the 6K mark would have been holding for Bitcoin And I kind of
Had they
called, hey
not.
guys, if you hold Bitcoin Cash, sell it pre-snapshot. It was at like $600. It really hurt both those coins, but really then brought down the entire market as those two, like you said, were fighting over trying to generate more hash power, trying to manipulate their coin price to get that ticker symbol. Eventually, it got decided, but either way, I mean, look what it left behind the scenes. You see a $3,000 Bitcoin. You see altcoins get hammered even further. You see DigiByte and Vertcoin get hammered. So it's kind of a shame that happened. You can look at the bright side and see this as an opportunity. If you still believe in the space, still believe in the projects, you can dollar cost average, accumulate more, start using more, and get that network usage up as well. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, two rich people pissing match.
Exactly. But that's been one of our things as well that we've always talked about is with the decentralization of our mining is helped because we've got our 5 different mining algorithms, and sure, you can mine with ASICs, like the SHA-256 ASICs that Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash do. But if they throw all of that hash power from a whole mining pool at it, then it's not gonna matter. People say, no, that's never gonna happen. You'll never see that kind of thing, or you'll never see two pools join together and collude together or anything like that. You might not see the pool specifically collude together, but you can easily see what happens when one pool goes, you know what, we're not gonna mine Bitcoin anymore. We're gonna mine this Bitcoin ABC fork of Bitcoin Cash because they just basically take the hash power, and if you're a miner, you don't get a say in the matter. Like all of a sudden you just miss out on your payments for a couple hours. Would anybody really notice? Some people do when they notice the little ticker happening, but if you get paid out roughly once every like day or 2 days or once a week, are you gonna notice if you get like what are we like, so 15% less payment? Maybe. If you're expecting like I should get $1,000 every week, and all of a sudden you only get $850, then you're gonna go, that was a bit of a bad week. I wonder why that was. But they've gone and run off with your hash power, and what the hell do you get to do with it? Like nothing. You get no say in the matter whatsoever.
Yeah, and dollar, I know Nick really focuses on kind of the trading aspect and things of that nature, but the mining stuff, if it becomes profitable for those pools to act maliciously in that way, it doesn't matter what coin you are, is if the dollar value is there, there's ways to manipulate it, unless you're doing something like masternodes and proofs of stakes and stuff like that, where there's that more, even proof of stake, if you have the money, you can buy your way to the point of being malicious.
Yep.
Any and every opportunity that you can do to stay true to decentralization from a cryptocurrency standpoint, but thwart those malicious attackers. That's the goal of every development team, I hope, as far as eliminating that aspect from the space. But it's hard. It is, especially the more centralized stuff gets.
Yeah, and really because there's a couple different types of miners, and what you're pointing to is these are miners who are in it for the profitability in the US dollar. So obviously they're just going to switch to whatever algorithm or whatever coin is most profitable, market sell it, get their US dollars, and move on. And then there's more GPU friendly miners like what Vertcoin's striving to do, and what DigiByte has a couple algorithms where they're more for that underlying currency. So they want to provide verification of the transactions for Vertcoin. They want to provide security to the network by putting hash power on there, because they're trying to accumulate that coin because they believe in price exploration in the future. And they also believe in the utilization that they'll be able to maybe buy something with it, peer-to-peer with it, whatever it may be. And those are really the type of miners you want on your network, people who are going to support you from a security standpoint, but also start hodling and using your coin rather than just, well, Vertcoin's most profitable today, so I'll dump this. DigiByte's most profitable tomorrow, so I'll dump that. That really hurts the network in the long term.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, Josiah, we were talking about the foundation. So tell us a little bit about the DigiByte Foundation and kind of what you guys do from that standpoint.
Well, so that's kind of a tough one, because we're basically, we literally are a decentralized collection of people. We haven't had a formal entity as a result, and so because of that, we've kind of slowed up with the asking people for any kind of donations or anything at all like that. Yeah, it's something to review, I suppose, in the future, but especially at the moment, I'm sure you're well aware, like, how long is this actually taking you guys to go and get set up and get all of the foundation for the foundation?
7 months now. Yeah, and that's also in the United States. So a lot of foundations in crypto are not based in the United States, simply because it's a little bit easier to set up. There's not as many regulations and laws and responsibility around that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been about 7-8 months from start to finish. We've already had our first board meeting because we had to elect officers, and then we also had to set out our bylaws and everything like that. But we're looking at it. We need right now. We're all volunteers, and all of the assets inside of Vertcoin are owned by individual developers. We wanted to have a legal entity that would own either copyrights, trademarks, software, what have you, to have a legal entity that isn't tied to one single developer. That way, if one developer leaves, now, okay, well, what do we do with all these assets that were tied to that developer? James is our lead developer, and he has been since I think 2015 or so. But he's an MIT student, and so he graduates, I believe, next year.
Yep.
And at which point, he's heavily prominent in the crypto sphere. So who knows where he's going to land as far as employment goes. So he may not be able to work on Vertcoin 100% of the time because he's not going to be in university. So we needed to make sure that we have that legal entity in place so that we can, cycle in and out developers as needed.
Yep.
So is that something DigiByte worries about, or are you guys simply just focused on pure decentralization from every aspect?
Yeah, it's a tough one, and especially, I'm sure you see this as well. We see people come and go with the money. So when there's a pump happening or a rise happening, so in particular, last year in the November-December rally, and also earlier in the year in the June-July rally around the time of the City Tech for Integrity, and around the time that there was a whole lot of people misunderstanding the community Minecraft server as well, and people are going, integration with Microsoft and stuff, and just... It's like we still cop flack for that today. Like at no point did anybody from any developer or anything from DigiByte come out and say we're partnering with Minecraft, we're partnering with Microsoft. Never. That never once happened. But people saw you are integrating DigiByte into Minecraft. Yeah, we were, but it was one of the guys in the community who was a younger dude, really smart developer, managed to make it work, and basically he ran his own server for a little while, his own Minecraft server. It was one server, but that's enough for people to spread misinformation, and especially back then when the whole crypto market cap across everything was a shit ton smaller. That's enough for a bit of a pump to happen, and so we still call flack for that, to this very day, because of the actions of a developer within the community. It wasn't malicious for him. Just let me clarify, it wasn't malicious by the developer there. He just put up a cool server, but it was outsiders looking in, and what can you do?
Now we experienced this. I think we talked about it in the talk that we just did on the Vertcoin channel, but from a news standpoint, and Nick, you deal with the news day in and day out as far as your show, the level of lack of research, lack of touching with teams to make sure to validate certain things, it's super rampant, and not only in mainstream media, because we see that rampant too, but in crypto, it is horrific. And I imagine if one of the people who were putting out these news stories and spreading around all this stuff had just touched a developer or touched a foundation person to get clarification, it wouldn't have created this major issue. Nick,
I think the biggest thing with the crypto is a lot of these are newer news sites for crypto, and they're trying to make their name. Also, they do charge a fee. So two things. Number one, they're trying to pump out the information as fast as possible, so they don't always verify. That's why we try to present the news. We read the article. We say, this is plausible. This isn't plausible. A lot of that was coming with Amazon and Microsoft partnerships, where I wanted to get on and tell you what it really means. Does it mean that Amazon's going to accept Qtum, I think was a partner? No, it means Qtum paid $2,000. They're going to have access to some Amazon developers and some Amazon client details. That's still good, but that's not really what was being spun by the mainstream media. So I really think it's twofold. I think that smaller news, like I'm looking at newsbtc.com, is trying to make a name for themselves, but also when people have money. So if you're a newer coin or a coin that's been around, say DigiByte wasn't as decentralized, a big player wanted to pay $2,000 for an article to try to shill DigiByte. Well, a lot of these medias are going to take that money and post it regardless. So
Yep.
on my show, we try to weed through that, kind of tell you what we think it means and what's possible. I think the most recent one was the rampant news of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but somebody's like, oh, zero X is no longer, they're removing the utility token 0x. It's going to have no value. And he
I
saw
remember
a
seeing that.
speculation dump. But if you read what was actually going on, it was one relayer, one out of the dozens and dozens, decided, hey, instead of this, I'm gonna fork the code from 0x, and I'm gonna create something called the Hydro protocol and remove the 0x token, because he says, you know, it reduces scalability, it causes friction. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Really, I see it as he's running a decentralized exchange. He's smart enough to fork that code. Now he can take the fees in Bitcoin or USD or whatever he chooses to do in the future. But I think a lot of people just see headlines and they react really quick. And sometimes I can help you when trading cryptocurrencies, but in that case, it hurts you because you saw a couple quick red candles and then right back, the price bounced right back. And now you have no more 0x. You didn't actually read the news. You don't really know what's going on. And I think that's really the issue in the ecosystem. Stop reading headlines, guys. Take a minute, read into it.
Read the actual article. Like, come on.
Then make a rational decision, because this is your hard-earned money. You know, you're the one, and you don't need to be. If you read it and that's what's happening, that isn't what is going to happen anyways. But if that was the case, then you can make a more rational decision to look for an exit point and not get caught without your bag. And now you're sitting trying to FOMO back in and getting 10% less 0x or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think that's one of the good things about your show and diving deep into the crypto aspects and these articles. Really, if you want to see a crypto article and you want to know what it's really about, go to the last paragraph and read upwards, because normally that's where the real information is down at the very bottom. The clickbait's up at the top, but I think, you know, having shows on YouTube or websites dedicated to deciphering some of this information and educating the public is going to be a very good proposition in the future. Just to educating people, because it's not, well, in the case like Visa, most people have no clue how Visa works. You take your card, you go use it, your transaction happens, you buy your stuff, and you go home. You know, in this space, you're a little bit more, you have to be more responsible with your currencies. You have to, you know, as blockchain.net has now trademarked, which they did back in 2014, we found this out, be your own bank. If you want to be your own bank, you have to be a little bit more responsible, and you can't make knee-jerk reactions based upon, clickbait headlines. Our policy at Vertcoin is we refuse to pay for news articles. That's a lot of, and the reason for that is because, back again, we get all of our money that we have. There's no ICO, there's no pre-mine, there's none of that. Everything that we have is donated to us. So we have to be really responsible, and we take that very seriously when we spend that money. We're not paying for news. Unfortunately, ICOs in this space have made it so that dropping a few $1,000s is pretty easy when you have an ICO. It's not your money. You just throw it, and it's going to pump your price. And what is DigiByte? What is y'all's policy regarding news and things of that nature?
We get the same thing, and it's really funny. So basically, we get people that will jump in Telegram in the marketing channel, and they'll go, hey guys, I want to write a story about DigiByte. And we're like, cool, good stuff. That's fucking cool. Good on you. Well done. Pat on the back. How much money are you going to pay me?
Yes.
No, you must be new around here. No.
yeah, definitely. And I can concur. We get that a lot too. And we would love to know more about Vertcoin. Tell us about your ICO. And I'm like, a simple Google.
Where's he gone? He's frozen.
Canon's frozen.
No. It's a really good pose, though. He looks like he's kind of thinking, like...
He's saying, Vertcoin's going to the moon. That's what he's saying.
It's the dollars. But, well, hopefully he'll join us back in a second here. But basically, like, we're exactly the same. So we get people that will jump into the channels, and they'll say, hey, we want to do an article. How about you flick us a couple $1,000 for it? By the same token, people will also come to us and say, hey, look, we've seen, like, so I get this on my Medium post that will pop up down the side there. Basically, people have commented on it, and they'll say, hey, we liked your article. We want you to come and write for our news website. And every single article that you do, we're going to give you $500 worth of Bitcoin or something along those lines, provided it's XYZ words or whatever long. Does it have to be factual? Probably not, because these are literally just websites that are like, pop a story out left, right, and the center and see what sticks. And so I like it's sort of, I suppose, what Canen was saying before, when you have the likes of the Learn Crypto show, where I can't remember what it was. Jog my memory. You contacted me. I remember back in like March or April or something along those lines. I don't remember why, but you were like, "Hey Joe, had this come across our desk. Don't know if it's true or not. What do you reckon?" And all it took was a quick like DM through Twitter, and all of a sudden I was like, "Nah, it's not true." Or yeah, I don't actually remember what it was. Maybe it was true, but that little bit of fact checking, and all of a sudden, like any discrepancies or possible misinformation, just gone. And how long did that take you? Like 30 seconds, maybe? Hey, message off to Joe. How's it going, man? And
Yeah. And I do that. I try to do that with a lot. If there's an interesting article, like, and a lot of actually reply, like Ethereum Classic, you got Anthony over there from ETC Cooperative, and it's like, oh, ETC's dead because ETC's dev is going on offline.
yeah,
Well, he went on to explain that they kind of refused to take on a treasury system. There's still 4 other development groups
yep,
still doing it. Now somebody's like, well, ETC is dead because Charles Hoskinson said IOHK may no longer further develop on ETC. Well, he's put in 2 years of work, $1 million of his own money. So if IOHK does not have a treasury and they choose not to do any more ETC work, there's still 3 development teams. But Charles Hoskinson left it open because Ethereum Classic does receive some money from Barry Silbert's Grayscale investments. When institutional investors come in, there is a transaction fee. A portion of the fee goes to ETC. If they decide to allocate some to IOHK, well, boom. Now you still have the development team on board and you're still good to go. So, I mean,
that's
just
still 3 out of 5 dip
you.
teams too.
Yeah, and I've reached out to you. I've reached out to Canen with Vertcoin stuff. And I try to reach out to others to try to get those facts for the show. And so people, because I understand that when people watch me, I don't know who all these people are. All I know is anybody investing is investing their own hard-earned money. So I try to just present my opinion of what I would do with my hard-earned money. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you what I've done with my educated guesses or the research that I've done behind the scenes. So I think that's what we really try to do in the space.
Which are funnily enough usually pretty good too. And there are a number of occasions I wish I'd listened to you. But that was one of the things we started kind of getting, we were hitting down that path before, because I missed that part of your show earlier. I only got a little bit where you and Todd were talking and going over some of the charts. But what were your thoughts on the recent, actually I haven't checked it since I got home. There was a rally today with Bitcoin Cash. Last I checked, it went up like 30%, like overnight or something. And then someone else messaged me earlier and was like, it's 55% or something. What the hell's going on with that?
Yeah, so Bitcoin has rallied. Previous shows, we had a price target of 3,000 to 3,200. Bitcoin did go down to 3,124 and has rallied since then. Really, we're keeping an eye on the 3,440 level for Bitcoin. So as long as Bitcoin stays above $3,440, this price action is still bullish. If Bitcoin does manage to have a drop-off, falls below 3,440, we think that new localized lows will come into play with a new price target of 2,800 to 3,000. But really, anything below 3,124 would constitute a new low, obviously. But so far, Todd with Wyckoff and Elliott Wave still thinks that this is pretty strong here. If we can get through the major resistance of $4,200, that maybe this thing starts to take off. You're starting to see a little more positive news. I wish Canen was in here because 2 House representatives from the United States actually put forward a proposal to make it so no cryptocurrency is actually a security. I know he doesn't want to hear that because all the work they've been putting in with the foundation.
Yeah.
I think that work will still pay off because you will have a foundation. But and obviously this is just a proposal. But really, they want cryptos to be their own asset class.
Yep.
And none of them are security. If you were an ICO, you have to then pay up your fee, all about the money, to the SEC in order to be regulated properly. So
and
we'll
they'll still have their foundation too, so they'll still be able to get that whole tax advantage basically, and you'll be able to. I'm not too familiar with the American tax system, but you'll be able to receive certain tax
donations
benefits.
Yeah, you get tax benefits, and you might get more donors because donors are actually going to get a tax benefit. Now, if somebody donates cryptocurrency, it's anonymous, and they're not really getting any benefit
They don't get
besides
anything out of it.
besides supporting the crypto that they believe in, and hopefully it helps them in the back end.
Which is supposed to be the main thing anyway.
Yeah, if you have a foundation, if somebody wants to donate, they can write that off on their taxes. So it's like, all right, I donated, but I do get a little bit of a tax write-off back in the back end. And
He's
Canen is
back.
back.
Sorry about that, guys.
Dude.
Comcast likes to reset my dynamic IP at 10:22 at night, so
There you go.
sorry about that.
We were just bringing up that article I had. You kind of sent a kind of a shaking your head reply to my tweet earlier about the 2 new House representatives putting forth a proposal that no cryptocurrency will actually be a security, and ICOs just gotta probably pay the bottom dollar to get kind of regulatory approval. We're kind of saying, I know you don't want to see that because you put forth all the effort and work into the foundation, but at the same time, even if that was passed, which is still far way away, you guys still have the foundation behind your name, giving more legitimacy. Plus, donators then get the tax benefit of donating to your foundation as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, I said, I'm looking at that as, well, this is the end of a Congress. So it's wrapping up their final business. It's going to be a completely new House. It's going to be a completely new, really dynamic inside of there. So I don't know if they're seeding some, they're trying to lay the foundation for some stuff down the road. I don't foresee the SEC giving up authority that it thinks that it has. And I guarantee you Wall Street is not looking to Congress to say something like that. They know the SEC, Wall Street knows the SEC. They run with the SEC. They're a team, essentially, making sure stuff is secure and safe and everything. So we'll see. It'd be great. The downside is that it would propagate more ICOs and some projects that really are just vaporware that take people's money. That's kind of a downside. But we'll see what
let's
happens.
talk about scams then. Let's go down there. How that's the problem is we saw. You can run an ICO, so you talked about having to do the Howey test and everything as well. Did you see that SEC website that they put out, which basically was like, here's an ICO, you should invest in us, we're amazing, we do everything, here's a white paper, check out our white paper, and it was literally just the SEC themselves going, gotcha!
yeah, I saw that. That was pretty good. And, who do you think their target audience was for that? Do you think it was current ICO people looking to see if, maybe I can get into America now and get some of that American ICO money?
I think they were just trolling all the ICOs and saying, hey, we see you out there, and once our regulation catches up, we'll be coming after you, so don't worry. And maybe kind of promoting for some of these ICOs that might have been on the rise to be like, maybe we shouldn't commit this scam because I really don't want to go to jail for $1 million that I'm probably going to lose anyways because they're going to come knocking on my door down the road. That's kind of what I think they were doing. I think they were kind of saying, hey, we still have the power, and I know we're not there yet. We're not kind of up and savvy with what blockchain and Bitcoin is, but we're coming, and you're going to be our first targets if you keep messing around and if you keep pushing.
We don't know what you guys are messing with, but we don't like it, and you're not allowed to do it, so don't do it, and we're going to put you in jail because we don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to talk to someone who's done an ICO. Like I know Nick, you've had him on your show, McAfee. He's been on your show. Skycoin actually put out a video, and I don't know if you saw my tweet interactions with McAfee. I actually have a family beach house 4 miles from where his house is. Skycoin took a drone video of his house, and I knew he lived on the chain of islands that were my family. So I was like, well, I know he's out there, but I didn't know where. As soon as I saw his house, it took 30 seconds on Google Maps to find out where he lives. And so I messaged him. I was like, hey, don't put your house in videos because people can find out where that is. And then I told him, so he knew I wasn't BSing, I said, let's go to a local restaurant that is a hole-in-the-wall restaurant that's very popular with the locals. Let's go there, have dinner, and have a Vertcoin talk, and we'll talk. And he said, I would love to. But nice. I would love to ask him because I don't know if he's dealt directly in with ICOs, but he's definitely been in that unregulated space. And I know he's willing to pick a fight with the SEC. I see his tweets all the time, like, come after me. Yeah, and it's like, he's got enough. He has what people have deemed FU money. I've heard that term on Joe Rogan's podcast, but he has FU money to where he can pick that fight with the SEC. I would love, and this is probably some stuff that I'll do if I do get to sit down with him, is pick his brain on the mentality behind the people that are running these ICOs and whether or not if they ever disclose if there is anything there or if it's just vaporware from the start and we're just trying to gain money.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. And if he knew any, he would probably tell you because I mean, I had the interview with him on my show, and he was pretty open on everything we were talking about as well. And that's just kind of his personality. He's kind of the point now where he's like,
I love
don't
it. There's
care.
no filter.
Yeah, no filter. And that's what's interesting. He's supposed to be, you're not in the United States, Canen, you are. He's supposed to be running for president in 2020. He confirmed that in the interview.
Libertarian
Confirmed that on Twitter. And he has probably no chance. He doesn't have the money or the backing. But it would be interesting to get him on stage because he's just not going to have a filter. He's probably going to say a lot of things that are true about the government that they're going to say is not true. Yeah. And really, it's really just going to be a proponent for decentralized monetary system, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, etc., on the biggest stage in the world, usually, which is the presidential election.
Yeah. Speaking of McAfee though, and speaking of shit that we get for a pump and dump, he's still one of them. Like, I still like him, and I still like that he has no filter. But the whole, you know how he was doing that coin of the day, and we turned out to be the second coin of the day? People kind of realized around day 3 or 4 that whenever McAfee announces something, there's gonna be a huge rally, and I still remember that one. And just to kind of, again, clear the air there, no, we didn't pay him anything. Yes, he'd been talking to us for a while. Yes, he just liked the project, but I think now he's more interested in Docademic and Skycoin. Yeah.
Flavor of the month, Skycoin sent him a miner, maybe monetary comes into play. But yeah, we were catching on to that. I still remember like by day 3 or 4, every time I was getting off work, he was announcing around then, and I would be on the phone with Todd, and then I'll have my computer up like, all right, I'm waiting for McAfee's shill so you can try to buy it, and we can try to make a quick profit off of it or whatever. It'd be Vertcoin or whatever it would be, go up 70%, 100% real quick. That was pretty crazy times.
Yeah, and that's good stuff for the people who successfully do that. But think of how many people get
burned,
destroyed because of that. And that, to me personally, I think that type of stuff is detrimental to the space as a whole, because people are not going to want to do mass adoption if you have these horror stories. You think I talked about it before, where November, Thanksgiving of last year, so end of November, that's when stuff started to go a little crazy. But that was everybody go home, have Thanksgiving with your family, have meals with your family, talk about crypto, get them into it because things are going to the moon. Then this year was the reaping of that you sowed the year before, and I wondered how those conversations went. That's not as bad as things are going up, but if you're participating in a deliberate pump and dump, having that conversation with those people who get burned by that in the future, 5-10 years down the road, that's a horror story that will scar that person and anybody that they touch with that story. And it's just so detrimental to the space. That's why we don't like it at all.
Well, that's why you look at BitConnect. Like, people were taking out their life savings, and people are like, no, this is not a scam. BitConnect was a scam. Yeah, we can see that. This other thing over here is not. People thought that BitConnect was legitimate, that you could get 1% every day. Like, come on.
It's easy to accept that stuff when the dollars are rolling in every day. When it's green candles every day, it's really easy to gloss over a lot of the fundamentals. And I think that's one of the things that Nick brings to his show is those fundamentals. Green candles, red candles, they're easy to understand and it's easy to flow with. But you really need to understand the underlying foundation of what it is that you're investing in.
My favorite part is Yeah, exactly. My favorite part, like you say, though, is if they were a scam, they wouldn't be going up in price. Or they wouldn't be doing... Yes, they're still a fucking scam, guys.
Well, that's the biggest thing, too, because the short-term green or red, great. If you can make some gains, if you're trying to trade it, awesome. But the fundamentals are what are going to create longevity for projects that are going to be along for the long term and are really ones that you can have in your portfolio that aren't going to give you the horror story that you really don't have to worry about. Because like I'm saying right now with Bitcoin Cash, you think that's organic price action? No, there's somebody behind the scenes, whether it's Roger Ver or a whale, whatever it is, that can manipulate the price and cause that price action. You're gonna have some green candles for a few days, but do you think the underlying fundamentals are going to be there for the long term? That's what you need to decide for each individual project, and whether or not you're going to support that network and use that network in the future.
And for yourself too. Are you here for today? Are you here for the year? Are you here for 10 years? Or are you here for a lifetime? Are you accepting the concept of cryptocurrency, of being able to distribute funds and payments to people without a third party or without a centralized government in this case, verifying and authorizing and feeing you in order to do that. Is this a lifestyle that you think is better for humanity as a whole 50 years from now or way down the road? Or are you just here for the pump and dumps and just trying to get, as much as you can right now? Whenever you're contributing to those pump and dumps, somebody gets hurt. If you come out on the good end, somebody can get hurt on that. And you have to take that into consideration, that, every action that you take in the space, regardless of if you decide to get involved with the coin, if you decide to start a YouTube channel, if you decide to talk to your friends about crypto, everything you do is another block in the chain, per se, to use that phrase, to the space over the course of time. So be responsible with your actions and think about that. Obviously don't do anything that is going to negatively affect you as an individual. But remember, there is a greater vision, per se, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, that all of us, everybody in this chat, everybody in the chats on YouTube, we're all contributing to that in some way, some form or fashion.
Yep. And that's the hard thing is yeah, sure, that's great that somebody made money off this or somebody made money from this pump, but there's usually somebody who doesn't and who buys it on the way down, or like
bought it up and held it.
Yeah, and so now all of a sudden they bought like near the top and they're sitting on these bags of fucking Decentraland mana or whatever it is that is still yet to show any kind of a working project that they should have had 18 months ago. So,
but that goes back to the responsibility of the individual person to do your own research, to understand what it is that you're investing in, because there's no security net here. There's no, unless you're involved in a centralized system, there's no third party that is here to trust your trusted thing. The point of cryptocurrencies is to have a trustless system. You don't have to trust anybody else in order to facilitate a transfer of value to somebody with minimal time, minimal, maximum security, and then also minimum fees associated with that. That's the ultimate goal. So, you guys out there that are investing, that are taking, putting your hard-earned dollar into a project, you need to know what you're doing and just spend that time. It doesn't take much time. Watch shows like Nick's, other shows on YouTube that can condense some of this information, because I don't know about you guys. When I first got into crypto, my wife was so upset at me because it was a rabbit hole that I went down in. I mean, I was just eating everything I could. That can be the case. But if you don't want to put in that effort, find areas that you can trust and look over time to condense that information down and try and help you make a better decision. But remember, at the end of the day, the responsibility lays on your feet, and you have to be responsible for what you do.
You gotta find a couple channels, and like you said, with Learn Crypto, we try to condense it down, and that's not to give you all the information. What it does is, somebody asks a question about a project, I condense my opinion, the good, the bad, whatever it may be. Now, if that project gets your interest, or if I have more good than bad, now you can go down the rabbit hole of just that one project rather than trying to attack an ecosystem full of 2,000 projects. And then maybe start building your portfolio, or what you use, or what is a sector that you believe in based off the condensed information. Because then you can do your own research on a specific coin or a specific sector off of that, and then maybe your wife won't hate you like Canen did for a little while.
I got two things I want to quickly add to that. So the first one was like what Canen mentioned, like trust nobody. So I've been doing some builds recently for our new version of DigiByte Core, and I compiled them. And for some of our people who are less tech savvy and aren't able to compile it themselves, I put up the binaries and I said, here, you want to try it out? Try them out. But don't do this on your main wallet. I know that I'm a moderately public figure for DigiByte, but please don't trust me. Presume that what I'm giving you is going to be loaded with some malware or some shit that's going to steal your keys. Now, it's not. But it might.
Yeah.
Like, where does that trust barrier kind of start and end, where this person is trustworthy and this person is not? Trust nobody. You can compile it all yourself if you really want. So that's what we find all of our exchanges and mining pools do. They all compile it themselves because they trust nobody. It's about the exchanging of value from me to you with no trusted party in the middle. Nobody else is required. There's no trust required. In fact, we could even be the worst of enemies and still exchange money. And it's still gonna... Yeah, so... But...
That's one of the bonuses to open source too. Not all projects are open source. You know, and this, unfortunately, it goes back to education. A lot of people don't want to put it. One, they may not have the technical knowledge to be able to, you know, go through code. I have limited, and you know, I'm knee deep in this stuff day in and day out.
Yep.
The average user is not going to have the time. But the fact that they can rely on, if this is open source, somebody who does have that knowledge is going to go in and verify what is being done. And if there is something malicious, they will sound the horn. And you know, somebody like Nick Show or something like that will be able to pick up on that, sound the horn even larger. You know, with there's a lot of projects out there that are closed source. You know, there's a lot of miners that are closed source. And you have
the worst idea.
Yeah,
Don't do it,
you have to trust that, and that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And you know, you're running that risk. But that's it. It is what the space is.
We have a question over here from Crypto Mentor 99. Serious inquiry. Can you talk quickly about Vertcoin? I'm new to it. Where should I start to learn about it? Maybe you can give a brief overview of Vertcoin, what it is, and maybe send them in the right direction.
Yeah. Crypto. So Vertcoin is it's a decentralized payment system. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency. The best place, so it's really hard for me to condense it down, but the best place to do any research, go to vertcoin.org. There you can download our wallet. You can read about all of our spec sheets. So we actually have a page on there. It's called specs, where originally it was like the no bullshit page where we list out everything. There's no fluff. There's no nothing. It's just pure facts as to what Vertcoin is. But Vertcoin, as a team, we're open source. We're all volunteers. There's no ICO, no pre-mine, no master nodes, nothing like that. It's as close as we can get to the original vision of proof of work, decentralized cryptocurrency. We are heavily invested in the Lit Lightning Network, which is developed at MIT. That is a multi-coin, hot swappable Lightning Network, where most other Lightning networks are purely for one coin. So like the big Lightning Network right now is LNDs for Bitcoin. Now, if you use that, you can't, you know, swap over to Litecoin. It only works for Bitcoin. But you know, Lit is it's going to be free. Unfortunately, LND is trying to monetize the Lightning Network that they're using for Bitcoin. That's why you have investors in LND, because they're going to there's going to be a way for them to make their money back. But Lit is supposed to be free, just like, you know, the HTTPS protocol and such. You don't have to pay for that. But that's a, you know, quick sales pitch, I guess you can say. Even though, you know, I try not to be a salesman for the securities aspect. You don't want a spokesman. That's one of the things under the Howdy test. But yeah, vertcoin.org. You can see a lot of information over there. We've done a bunch of talks on our Vertcoin YouTube channel, so check those out. And let us know in our Discord if you have any questions.
So am I correct in that you were also forked from the Litecoin code base?
Correct. It was right after you guys. I think you guys had just a day or a few days ahead of us. So we're DigiByte and Vertcoin forked from Litecoin around the exact same time. Yep. So we are some of the oldest proof of work coins outside of Litecoin and Bitcoin that are around in existence.
And with your Lit Lightning Network from MIT, you were talking about swapping to different coins. I think it was going to be Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Vertcoin.
Any SegWit enabled coin.
Okay.
So SegWit is the catalyst. So any SegWit enabled coin will be able to swap on that Lightning Network, which will be a second, you know, it's an off-chain solution. But that's what our whole point of sale solution that we've been working on internally is, utilizing that and making it so that you can do all of those instant transactions with the Lit Lightning Network. And that's part of the Lit box that we had initially talked about back early this year. That is one of the flaws with Lightning Network, is you have to be online 24/7. If you're not online if you go longer than 48 hours of being online, your channel that is open is now vulnerable to have the monies taken out of it. So we're working on by the other party, yes, that you've agreed to open that channel with. So that's we're trying to use it as like a router that stays on all the time. You don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's the quick, I guess, sales pitch for Vertcoin. You can go over there and check out all that stuff there.
So I guess one of the things, kind of coming back a little bit to what we were talking about before, about like doing investigation in a project in general, and how you get things like, you'll get Nick and the Learn Crypto Show will basically, they'll sum it up and you'll get a nice kind of overview of it. What I was talking with him, I think last time on our chat, was I sat down and I looked at the coin market cap, and I just started at the top, and just started working my way down. And when you're looking to specifically invest in a project, not specifically just Vertcoin, not specifically just DigiByte, but any kind of a project, a really useful exercise.
Or Rapids.
Or Rapids, there we go. Yes. A really useful exercise is to take a look at it and don't just buy into the hype. Like, I've got to get on the train, because that's what people got sucked in with BitConnect. But to actually look at it analytically and pessimistic, almost, I guess, like you don't want to question everything. Like, it sounds really just really shitty, but question it. Why does this project even need to exist? What is the purpose of it? Can we get away with just Bitcoin? Does it even need a blockchain? What's the purpose of it storing this data on a blockchain, or can it just be a database? And if you start at the top of CoinMarketCap and you work your way down, we're talking there is like a fraction of them that actually even need to exist. So let's say, for example, you're looking at Vertcoin. What is its point of difference versus Bitcoin? You say, well, they're focusing on decentralization, specifically in GPU mining. The idea that everybody can contribute and you don't have to buy expensive ASIC hardware. You can have your graphics card that you game on in your spare time. You flick open your miner and you start mining on it. Is that a good point of difference versus Bitcoin, where you've got to have centralized specific mining hardware and you've got like these ASICs do nothing but that? Yeah, that's pretty good, and it also helps with your decentralization. The idea being you'll have more people that are contributing to the network, more people keeping a copy of the blockchain on your computer, and that's a pretty good point of difference. That's a pretty good reason to use it over and above Bitcoin. But then you look at some of these other cryptocurrencies out there, and it's a case of it's basically just Bitcoin, but with 8 times the transaction volume.
Well, and
What's
that's
the point?
Litecoin originally forked from Bitcoin because it was going to be the ASIC resistant.
It was going to be what Vertcoin now is. I wasn't going to name names, but hey, you said it first. So, like,
well, I mean, a lot of people, especially nowadays, you had a big surge in people coming into the space in 2017.
Yeah,
a lot of those people have left, and people who are now starting to get interested in cryptocurrency and things. We have new people every day. So a lot of people don't know the history, and unfortunately, there isn't like a history of cryptocurrency website that people can go to and list out all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But
and they miss out on a lot of that Bitcoin talk stuff from back in 2014, back when we were first launched, and back when there were new coins popping up left, right, and center, but they actually had working code. And that was basically the thing. You're right. That's exactly what Litecoin's point of difference was. We're based on script, so you can't have an ASIC because ASICs were popping up that already popped up, I suppose, around that time, or at least the FPGA mining. And so the idea was it's going to be too memory intensive. You're not going to be able to use an ASIC. It's all going to be CPU mined, which again, in and of itself, is a shitty idea. We now know in hindsight, of course, as well, to be CPU mineable only. But that was the original idea of Litecoin, was you will be able to mine it on your home computer. As like anybody in their own home can mine it, which is now instead what Vertcoin has come along and gone, you know what? This is what Litecoin should have been. But they basically launched the code and they haven't done shit since. They've gone and they included SegWit several weeks after DigiByte did. And even then they've kind of struggled to maintain parity with the Bitcoin core protocol. I think for the first time ever, it happened last August or September or something like that. Then you look at something like Vertcoin, and by comparison, you can say, right, they've made consistent progress and strides to maintain that decentralization and the anybody can mine on their home computer kind of a platform. That is something that I would personally give a lot more value to and say has a lot more of a reason to exist in this space than something like Litecoin, which had a pump because Charlie Lee used to work for Coinbase.
That's true. That's the value proposition with Litecoin, was it had access on Coinbase. Now you see a lot of these other coins that it's now called the December shit coin list of the, where they're putting out new stuff every month. That value proposition isn't there as much anymore. Like Nick, I'll bring you in on this because you're not seeing the massive pumps for getting listed to Coinbase like you did when Litecoin.
You're not seeing that as much just because now they're pumping out a bunch of them over there on Coinbase Pro, also during the bear market. So Litecoin is going to lose its value prop from Coinbase liquidity pool. As you guys know, that really is the fiat gateway for U.S. investors and others. And so there's only 3 choices. So what are you going to see? You see Bitcoin at 10,000. You see Litecoin at 100. you don't understand market capitalizations, you don't understand fundamentals. Well, okay, I'll buy a little Bitcoin, but I'm going to buy 100 of these because unit bias is prevalent in the
Exactly.
ecosystem. So Litecoin still has its use case. I'm going to argue a little bit. Now, I agree with what you're saying with Vertcoin and what you said there, but it does have network effect. Just like you see
Exactly.
a brand name Under Armour can go for 3 times as much as this IZOD because of the network effect. I think it has that. Also, because it has the network effect, at least at the start of institutional infrastructure, you're going to see Litecoin start to pop up. I think backed exchange will have Bitcoin at Ethereum, whether there's a better protocol or not. Maybe DigiAssets, I don't know, but Ethereum has that network, and then maybe Litecoin gets added. So that's where institutional money will be able to inflow first due to the finite supply resource in cryptocurrency, or at least a lot of them. The liquidity will get dried up, prices will rise. Now, what happens over the long term? You would think utilization of the network drives the price. So if Vertcoin or DigiByte is more useful, more network effect due to utilization of that blockchain, then price catches up on the back end. But I think that's why Litecoin's still staying propped up here, just due to its massive liquidity pool. And then I think institutional players that's where they're going to be able to put their money first.
Yeah, exactly.
Fidelity is not going to be like, I know how to get on Binance or Vertbase and buy this. They're going to be like, who's the trusted? Okay, I can use backed exchange and I can only buy these 3 assets.
Yep.
Who has lobbyists in DC that are currently lobbying Congress?
Yeah.
That's, and unfortunately that is the thing that scares me about Coinbase, because they kind of did this to Vertpig, which was our British, the UK exchange that we had up, or it was a community member that had developed it, had up for Vertcoin, and then I think they added DigiByte and a few other coins on there. Coinbase, they had the British pound, and that was an onboarding for them, but they actually had to move out of that and go to the euro because Coinbase came in and shut the door through the money that they had and the lobbying that they had inside of the UK government. It shut the door on Vertpig to where they couldn't do the pound, the British pound as an onboarding platform anymore. Now that worries me from Coinbase, because they made what, $8 billion last year.
They got a lot of money.
Yeah, when you have that much money, you throw around influence. You shut doors behind you because you don't want competition. And that you see that in the Coinbase space as far as the onboarding platform. It's the same problem that you have when it comes to mining and ASICs, and Bitmain makes the majority of that, and they control it, and there may be possible back doors and all that other stuff. It's a problem across the entire space, no matter if you're coming in, if you're mining, if you're exiting. It's a problem everywhere, unfortunately. But I was going to ask Nick, what do you think, if you could wrap up 2018 in a sentence or a few words or less, what do you think 2018 will be looked back upon in the crypto space for the entirety of crypto? And what do you think 2019 is going to bring into the space?
If we're saying that we're referring back to 2018 in a couple of years from now, I think it will be the opportunity that has been missed. I think it's the year of misinformation as far as institutions paying for articles to FUD on the market. I think it will be the year that people were fearing regulation, and maybe it will be rightfully so for ICOs, but not so much for the Vertcoin, the DigiByte, the Bitcoin, and some of the survivors that will be out of this ecosystem. But I think really to the end of 2017 was a retail blow-off. The price got ahead of the fundamentals. We're reverting back to that. I think with retailer markets, which is what Bitcoin and crypto is right now, you go too high to the upside and you go too low to the downside. I think the fair value price for Bitcoin right now, at least early in the year, might have been 6, 7, 8,000. We're going lower here because it is a retail market. And I think for 2019 is going to be the year of institutional or Wall Street greed. And what I mean by that is, guys, follow the money. These big dogs, New York Stock Exchange, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Goldman Sachs spent a lot of time, a lot of money on flooding your market and then building an infrastructure so they can profit off it via transaction fees and via clients. And I think that this is going to be when crypto, you might see it as a bad thing because institutions are getting in play, it kind of ruins the decentralization. But also it can be a good thing because I think crypto is going to become its own investable asset class. So just like now financial advisors say, hey, put 3 to 5% of your money in commodities, gold or silver, I think that could be what is next for cryptocurrencies. Hey, to diversify against this what is now a volatile stock market, put 3 to 5% of your investable asset class in Bitcoin. And I think that maybe they're getting a little short-sighted. They want the fees off that, like Coinbase is getting, but really that might actually help us get a foot in the door to change the monetary system and really spark mass adoption, because now a lot of people are going to be invested and interested in Bitcoin, and maybe they'll see this as a better monetary system versus what we have now with centralized banks.
So what about you, Josiah? What do you think as far as that goes? Both 2018 and 2019.
I would like to see 2018 be remembered as the year that a whole lot of new investors came in and just basically learned very quickly the way that historically Bitcoin has worked, with going up and going down. And I would also like them to remember with fondness the fact that there are still projects out there, like, remember that we had a shakeout. Remember that some projects have gone under and can no longer carry on functioning. Or remember that some of them capitulated. Or remember that there was infighting between two billionaires who wanted to decide what their particular vision was the best vision of somebody they can't even ask what his vision is, right? Mm-hmm. But I would also at the same time like to look forwards into 2019 and see that as the time where, not specifically where we celebrate the fact that there were banks and Wall Street and traditional investors getting involved, because that's the whole, like, that's also very counter to the whole idea of be your own bank, and it's literally in the fucking Genesis block for Bitcoin that the chancellor was on the brink of the second bailout for the banks. Like, it's not what we're supposed to be about. But at the same time, people are in it for a quick buck, and I mean, that's totally cool. If they wanna make a bit of money, they're free to, really. But I would also like to see 2019 not just be remembered for that, but also specifically be remembered for the time when the projects that were left standing were the good projects. Now, I know there's still a lot of shit out there on CoinMarketCap, a lot of it. But what I would really like to see is that the people that are currently invested have that kind of an analytical thinking, and you train up the people when you come. I know I've kind of gone more than like one sentence here, but I want to see the people that are in the space, right? Train up people to go, let's think analytically about this. Let's question what is the value proposition. Why do we need Bitcoin? Why do we need Bitcoin Cash? Why do we need SV? Why do we need Vertcoin or Rapids or DigiByte or Litecoin or BitConnect? You know, why do we need all of these? What do they actually bring? Is this something that I should be using? Should I be using Vertcoin more than I use Litecoin? I mean, yeah, sure, Litecoin might have, like you say, the network effect. Again, a lot of it simply because Charlie Lee was on Coinbase. But in terms of like the fundamentals and why we're using blockchain in the first place, when I look at it and you look at it analytically, Vertcoin's the kind of project that you should be recommending to your friends or family and things like that, to say, participate in mining. Look at the decentralization. It is better decentralized. It is better distributed. You know, all that sort of thing. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah. So for me, for 2018, I hope that 2018 will be remembered as the year that reality slapped people in the face. That, you know, because 2017 brought a lot of eyes that were like, I can make a quick dollar, and it was all about the dollar. Yep. And they didn't care about cryptocurrency. They didn't care about why it was created. They don't know the backstory. They hear the name Satoshi Nakamoto, but they don't know, you know, what his white paper said. I'm hoping that 2018 was the literal board that slapped people in the face, that forces them to start to look into what it is that they're investing and not be so reckless. Please, you know, make this year an example of only invest what you can afford to lose. I don't want people homeless because of cryptocurrency. I want cryptocurrency to succeed because I believe that we need a monetary system that is outside of the control of the Fed, of the banks, who manipulate stuff and cause stuff like 2008 to happen because they get greedy. And that's a centralized power and authority around a monetary system. I believe cryptocurrency, hopefully through years of experimentation, and that's something else to remember, we're very early in this stage. We're experimenting. We're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. And we're trying, you know, most of the developers in this space are doing this in good faith. They're trying to explore this new technology. And I'm hoping that 2018 will bring the average consumer to be more conscious of what they're investing in, take a little bit more responsibility, and understand why you are here. And I hope 2019 is the year of people, the shit projects, as they call it, the ones that don't update, that don't have a development team, that aren't advancing, that are not adopting new technology, that are not looking for problems to solve in the space. I hope that stuff does fall away. Unfortunately, a lot of those were ICOs, so they have money to just sit around and chill for a while. But I'm hoping that with that falling away, that you'll have projects that are strong from a development standpoint, that do have good fundamentals, good philosophies, but they don't necessarily have the funding or the excessive amounts of cash just sitting around. Those can rise to the top to be able to serve the need of cryptocurrency. Because right now, you look at the top 10 of CoinMarketCap, what needs do those projects serve? And at the end of the day, if it's about money, those projects, they're going to live and survive, and they're going to keep, going, because at the end of the day, it's only about money. But, if you're here also for the changing of how people exchange value and making it more of, I can give you money if you're in, New Zealand, I don't have to go through a centralized processing center such as the Fed, wait a few days in order for that money to get over there. I should be able to send it to you directly without anybody else's opinion or matter in the space. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that's how, terrorists get money and illegal things happen and all this other stuff. Like, the US dollar is the number one transfer of value when it comes to illegal activity or terrorism. Yep. So that argument falls apart. But I'm hoping 2019 allows us to be able to advance the space. You have less horror stories that people can spread around. There's more good stories. There's more stories of, I could actually go get coffee with crypto. I'm hoping that is the case for 2019. But that's
you've got two really good points that I want to kind of touch on there. Number one, projects that are dead but still carry on. Dogecoin had its last major release in 2015. Why is it at number 20 on CoinMarketCap, guys? What the fuck is wrong with people?
That's the downside with CoinMarketCap, is it's not, the coin is worth almost nothing. If you look at dollar value, it's worth almost nothing. But there's billions of them. So when you have a gigantic circulating supply, that CoinMarketCap will go up. That is one of the downsides to being a smaller circulating supply coin, is CoinMarketCap gets hit pretty hard. I mean, I know, was it this time last year we were in the top 50. Now we're barely keeping in the top 200. The bear market has really hurt us pretty bad. But yeah, Doge, it's susceptible to pump and dumps. We've seen that. It's gone up in price for no reason. There's no technological advancements. There's nothing.
They've not done. There's beta releases. The source code is there if people really want to go and mess with the source code. But they've done nothing in 4. Why?
I think one of the major last developments was something you guys did by giving them multi-shield, right? In order to facilitate.
Yeah, so there were two developments shortly after, basically. So they launched mid-2014. We held them with DigiShield, and then late 2014 they did merge mining with Litecoin. And then after that, they've had one release since. In early 2015, I think it was, mid-2015. And why is it so high above us with the market cap? Like, yeah, I'm salty about it. Of course I am. Like, we poured our heart and soul into things like this, and yet somehow Dogecoin, because it's a meme coin, and it's the network effect, exactly like you say.
Yeah, it's the visibility, and that's one of the bonuses. I guess. We get dinged a lot for this. We do not talk about price. Price action does not deter us. When prices started going down, one of the quotes from James, our lead developer, was, no matter what the price is, it's not going to change what I'm doing in the space or how I'm developing. And that's one of the benefits to us being all volunteers, is that there's no money. So if it goes down to zero, we're still working. Unfortunately, we get dinged a lot for that. We have a lot of people who will say, why should I invest in you if you don't care about the price? And it's not that we don't care about the price, because I personally have Vertcoin. Obviously, the price goes up, great. It goes down,
it hurts you, of course. Yeah,
it hurts. But at the end of the day, Vertcoin, no matter what the price is, if I can't use it as a currency, which is what we want it to be used as, it has no use case. Bitcoin, you can't really use it as a currency because of the block times and then the cost in order to do the transactions. It's more of a store of wealth. That's not what our project is wanting to be, necessarily a store of wealth. If it goes up to $10 a coin, wonderful. That's great. That's awesome. But we get hit hard because we don't really we don't want to focus on the price too much. One, because of the howdy test stuff. We're trying to do everything we can to avoid being a security.
Yep.
But it's hard in the space, and I'm telling, like, Reddit. God, I don't know if you guys ever
It's
searched
so
Reddit.
toxic there.
It's bad, and me, I don't want to be like, a lot of times they'll say, "Oh, Canen, great job on the development update," and I make sure to remind people it's not me. I have a whole team of people. There's only like 14, 15 of us that work on Vertcoin, but I have a whole team of people that do this stuff. But being a face to something, and I'm sure Josiah, you know this, and Nick, I'm sure you get this a lot. Dude, the amount of negativity this year, that's another thing I hope 2008 is going to be remembered by, is that the just pure hate and just vile that comes out. Oh, the salt. Yeah, it's horrible. And I hope that changes, that people, I understand losing money in an investment that is speculatory, kind of like cryptocurrencies is. It hurts. A lot of people will lash out hard when they lose $10.
Yep.
Imagine somebody who loses, $500,000.
Yeah.
Like one of, that's so just take into consideration that, a lot of these guys who are doing development stuff, they may be getting a salary person. They may not, like Nick said, YouTube, they don't make a lot of money off of YouTube because monetization on YouTube sucks. It's horrible. Don't destroy somebody's, don't be so vicious don't ever say to somebody online, this goes in general, don't say to somebody online what you won't say to their face. And remember that it's a human being on the other end who's taking their time and effort in order to facilitate whatever entertainment, if it's a YouTube channel or they're developing a project that you're investing in. You don't want to piss off the developers of a project that you're invested in, because if they stop developing, it turns into Dogecoin.
And then you reach 20 on coin market cap. That sounds great. That's the secret. That's the secret.
We just need to walk away. That's what it is. But yeah, I'm hoping that's plays into 2019.
I mean, I agree mostly with that, but at the same time, I will be pretty blunt with people in person as well. Personally, I don't have a large kind of filter in terms of, like, if I've got something on my mind, I'll usually speak it. That gets me into hot water on occasion, but that's just the way.
But you won't be like, go kill yourself. You're worthless piece of crap. That there's different levels to it. Because I mean, Reddit, especially Reddit, they go next level. I mean, they're basically like, just dump acid on your face and go somewhere. So I understand the bluntness and stuff, but there's the vitriol that I've seen on Reddit is just. Yeah. I would just even go over the top.
I think what you're saying is, like, whether, YouTube ad revenue is not a lot, guys. Now, if you have 100,000 subscribers and you're getting 50,000 views on a video, okay, maybe. But you have to understand that if, say, like this live show, like we're about to wrap this up, this is like an hour and a half, 2 hours. You got to understand that there was the facilitating of us finding time that works for each other, the setup process, all of that. And then also, after we're done recording, Josiah's got to upload it. Do any modifications, maybe make a thumbnail. Like, it takes a lot of time and effort, and especially in this bear market, people who are still making crypto videos, they're not making a lot of money. They're doing it because they're trying to spread the word of cryptocurrencies, try to be here in the bear market because they're invested and they're gaining knowledge. So they're trying to share that knowledge with the community that they've built. So yes, do me and Todd get a trade, right or wrong? Yes, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Should you hate it on the wrong? Well, you're the one pulling the buy and sell. We're giving you our opinion. And understand that we might have got $2 for that video that you might be getting upset at. So, a lot of people are here for the right reasons. The thing is, a lot of people who are still talking cryptos now are here for the right reasons, because shillers can't make a living because they're not getting an abundance amount of subscribers, and they're not able to pump their coin because there's just not many people here to pump that coin. So just keep that in mind when you're watching different channels. If you got nothing good to say, obviously, we're here to debate. If you want to get on our live show and debate it, go ahead and do it. But at the same time, at least have a high-level conversation. Don't say, oh, you're an idiot. Because how am I supposed to reply to that? Or how is anybody supposed to reply to that? And maybe, especially if they have even less subscribers, we have 6,000 or something. So we're making a little dollars. But if you have somebody who has 200, 300, they may be really smart, but if they take too much slack, it's like, why am I wasting my time for the dollar? I'm gonna
If
quit.
you're under 1,000, you can't even monetize.
Yeah, and now you just ruined a whole another network effect for cryptocurrency. One less person talking about it, one less person excited about the space because you decided to say something that you probably shouldn't have. Just don't watch the show. Pass it over. Don't subscribe.
You're
Maybe
not
give-
required to watch people's shows. If you don't like it, you don't even have to be subscribed. You don't have to get the notifications. You can just... Look, I'll even give you a hotkey. Push Control W if your keys are already on the keyboard because you're mashing it out because you're angry. Just hold Control and hit W, and I promise all your problems will go away. It's amazing. You should try it. It's great. But
I did see a question up here talking about why we were railing on ASICs and stuff like that. It's a long conversation to have, but I would point over, and I'll actually go find it and paste it in the chat.
Yeah.
Vertcoin is very anti-ASICs, and we've actually done some long talks and stuff of that nature about Bitmain, how they operate, and the level of trust you have to have in that corporation in order to even get the ASICs in the first place. There's a large monetary gateway, but then you're also trusting in a hardware thing that can turn into a paperweight really quickly.
And then you were looking at things like ASIC Boost coming out as well, and it's a case of like people didn't even know that was in there to begin with, but there it was in the firmware because it was closed source in their ASIC. And there was, what was that other one? Antbleed, like where they could literally like flick off your miner remotely.
That was the back door. Yeah. So that's the reason why we want anybody to be able, and speaking for Vertcoin specifically, the reason why we're anti-ASIC is we want general consumer hardware. We want you to be able to go to your Best Buy, go wherever, and be able to mine and it's not even mine in order to verify the ledger. You're also contributing to the consensus. You're casting a vote that the rules surrounding the blockchain stays the way they are. There's, a lot of people will say, well, there's only 21 million Bitcoin. Like, yeah, that's the case unless somebody with a majority hash rate rewrites the rules for that coin. Now they can print and they change the cap. Now that destroys the entire ecosystem of Bitcoin, but you got to be able to contribute to the consensus, and that's why we're anti-ASIC, because you don't know and you can't trust a single monopolized entity that is producing this hardware.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it's starting to get late now. We'll go ahead and I guess wrap this up because I know Nick's got to get to
see him messaging his girlfriend going, "I'll be home soon." Or
my wife's
come up for dinner.
But yeah, thank you guys very much for doing this. It was fun. We'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
It was a lot of good information. And guys in the chat, if you want us to cover anything or if you want to hear from us again or anything, let us know. We'd love to. Speaking for me, I'd love to do it again.
And the reason these chats are good is you're getting DigiByte, you're getting Vertcoin, and you're getting myself. So you're getting a different opinion. Like even on some of the questions tonight, we had different answers. We agreed on some points, disagreed on others, like Litecoin, for example. And then that can help formulate other people's opinion and gain whatever knowledge they want to gain. Double T Crypto's in here, says he's getting ready to roll, guys. So are we. Maybe he can be in here one time. Shout out to you, Double T. We'll see what's up. And like we said, we'll have to see if we can do these again, try to grow it, do it on various channels, my channel, Josiah's, Canen's channel, and get questions and just kind of hang out and talk cryptos.
Yeah, and I think as well, exactly what you were both saying earlier is I know that all three of us are quite happy to engage in any kind of a discussion, but if you come out and basically are like, you're an asshole and your vision is wrong, that's not a very good way to do it. If you're actually looking to have a rational debate and a discussion on the merits of your topic, provided you're not moving the goalposts a lot, because I've seen that a lot. The goalposts just get shifted, and especially if Double T watches this last a little bit later on, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about with the whole flappening and things. The goalposts get shifted. Mm-hmm. But if you want to have a discussion, look, we're all here and we're all human beings as well, so we do occasionally get things wrong. And if you know something that we don't, perfect, lay it on us, and we would love to learn more as well, because that's why we do this too, to learn, to bounce knowledge off each other, to grow in ourselves, and to hopefully as well educate other people that are out there, so that you too might be able to learn something cool. You might be able to spot some bullshit when you're out there, or call out other people, or to be able to properly educate others, friends, family, especially as we're coming into Christmas time. You're sitting around the dinner table and people are going, yeah, how'd that work out for you with, how's your mining and things going? You'll be able to discuss things on a better level with them, so...
It's the breaking up of crypto tribalism. I know I put out a tweet and just I know you guys had liked it about crypto tribalism is rampant in our space, and there's no benefit to crypto tribalism. There's no benefit to everybody just staying in their own little sphere of influence and echo chamber. You want to challenge ideas. The best way to get the best work or the best proof of concept when it comes to crypto, when it comes to the space in general, you have to engage. You have to have conversations. You have to bounce ideas off of each other. And that's why I think stuff like this is really good to be able to go through topics, look at different points of view, look at different aspects, because everybody in this chat comes from a different point of view. And, you know, when at the end of the day, when we come to a consensus of that's a good thing, you can check that off and move on to the next item. And I think this helps educate other people who are watching this as well, because, you know, we spend a lot of time in the space, but not everybody can actually do that. So hopefully this helps contribute to one more instance of being able to further the space.
Exactly. Well, that's about all we got, guys, I guess. So make sure to subscribe and like Josiah's channel, whether you're from Vertcoin or from my group. That way you can see the next hangout. You can find me at @29620 or Learn Crypto on YouTube. And then you can find Canen on, he had a link there for the most recent Vert talk, but also the Vertcoin YouTube channel and as well on Twitter. So get in touch with us, DM us, tag us, whatever it may be, and maybe we'll see you in another hangout session a little down the road.
Have a fantastic holidays, Merry Christmas, and all of the other sort of stuff that people celebrate around this time. Go enjoy time with your family, your friends, and we'll still be here on Twitter causing shit like always.
There you go.
Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Be patient in the markets, guys. Dollar cost average, and you won't regret it in a couple of years. That's all I got to say.
Amen.